Good morning, folks. Mark Wilson here. It is Thursday, April 27th, 2023, 11:10 a.m. Today I'm actually going to discuss a subject I seldom discuss with anybody, even my closest friends and my family, and that's personal finance. Now, I know most of you are familiar with my videos, know that I specialize in fans. So I'm going to deviate away from that a little bit today. And why, may you ask, am I so eager to discuss my finances? Now, for years, I'm 39, I'm going to be 40 this year, all my life I've always been told, never discuss, don't talk about money with anybody, unless it's obviously a banker or my real estate agent or my CPA or anybody that's it's on a need to know basis. But most people, 99.99% of the people in my life, don't need to know. So I've always felt that it's just nobody's business, whether I've been at a very low point in my life or a very high point in my life financially. I've never felt compelled to share that information with anybody. That being said, there are a lot of people suffering right now, and for some just really trivial, silly reasons. And I'd like to be able to help them. If there's my story, by putting that out there, if that can put somebody in a better place, if that can, financially, if my advice can steer them in a better direction, I figure it's only fair, that I discuss this. Now, basically, my story is back in 2012, a little over a decade ago. It was November 2012. I went through a Chapter 7 bankruptcy. I did a voluntary house foreclosure because I was upside down in my house in Colorado. I went through a voluntary car repossession because I was upside down on my car, and I moved back to Massachusetts to live with my parents. Now, I was at a very low point in my life, and during the bankruptcy. And shortly thereafter, my credit score was 527. It's about as low can go. I was getting constant threatening letters leading up to the bankruptcy. And how did I get in that position? Well, when the recession hit, I had foolishly decided to start my own business, started a courier business, and that didn't really take off, so I just found any shit job I could find, which where I lived were few and far between. My primary income was delivering pizzas at night, at around 15-ish bucks an hour, I was averaging. I tried to take I wanted to become a real estate agent, so I quit my job and tried to go down that road, and failed the test 3 times, and they charged like a ridiculous amount. I think it was like 75 bucks a pop or whatever to take the test, and you had to get like an 85 on the test, I believe, and here's the sleazy part was they wouldn't tell you which answers you got wrong. Out of the thousands of questions, you had to just kind of guess and then study them all over again. And, after the 3rd time, I said, wait, 75 bucks a pop. I mean, that's like my, that's more than my week's food budget. That's almost 2 weeks' food budget for me at the time. So I just said, no, I can't keep on doing that. I can't afford to keep on doing this. And, I went down a downward spiral. To pay my mortgage, every cent I made was going to the mortgage. And every time I went to the grocery store to fill up my car with gas or to make a car payment, everything just went onto the credit card. Now, it didn't take long to fall behind. I did everything I thought I could to keep the house. It was 2-bedroom, 720 square foot house. I rented out the first bedroom, still couldn't make ends meet. Rented out the second bedroom, still couldn't make ends meet. I was literally like, living in the basement, the unfinished basement, with the mice and spiders everywhere, and bear in mind the hantavirus was rampant at the time, so that was an area of always provoked some anxiety. But anyway, I moved back and then went through bankruptcy and all that. And over the years, it's sort of fluctuated, gone up and down my overall financial well-being. But today I'm in a good place. I don't have any secret to doing that, just working my ass off. Taking overtime whenever I could get it. Always having a side job if I didn't have a job that was an adequate source of overtime. Side hustles as they call them today. But I always delivered pizzas at night and delivered newspapers in the morning, did whatever I could just to always keep some money coming in and enough to cover my expenses. So as of now, I stand at, let's see, as of Sunday anyway. I've been keeping track of all my finances for a number of years now. I have almost $113,000 in savings, and my net worth, because this student loans, I still owe $4,400 on my student loans. I've been in forbearance since the start of the pandemic, so I just 0% interest. I can't, justify paying those off, especially if they are eventually ever going to forgive them. Who knows? They will or they won't, but that's another discussion for another day. But that brings my net worth down to around $108,000. Now, there was a time, I keep this with me at all times, back of my clipboard. There was a time in 2017, I decided, so about a little over 6 years ago, I decided to buy a car. I bought a brand new Subaru Forester. It was around 30-ish thousand, but I had negative equity in the car I traded in. So that left me with a $40,000 car loan. And I used to, back then I used to always print these out. I didn't have Excel or anything. So instead of just saving them to that, I'd just print out my finances every week. And yeah, you can tell I was that was the lowest point I've been in a while. My net worth was negative 51 grand. Yeah, and that was January 24th. I checked this on January 24th of 2017. So, yeah, I don't have some magic formula. I wish I could say, like a lot of people now, they'll say, oh, well, I bought a house 3 years ago and it tripled in value and now I'm, living high on the hog. And, more power to them. If they went down that road, that's fine. I like seeing people make money. I don't have a problem with that at all. I celebrate their successes. But that wasn't me. I just, worked my ass off, and, I did plenty of 80 to 100-hour weeks and got myself out of debt. Now, right now, not sure how well you can see this, but every week I do have credit cards. However, I don't abuse them. I pay them off every week, anything I spend on them, because I like using them, because like the Discover card, I get rewards. Same with the Amazon card. So I do use them frequently, and they're just convenient. And I do have the willpower not to just go nuts on a credit card. I've never had that problem. Just, blow out a huge percentage of my income, more than I can afford on credit cards. Now, when it came to food and gas and stuff like that, I had no choice. I need to eat, and I need to drive to work. So I paid off my car last year, so that's one expense that I no longer have to deal with. Yeah, there's no real magic formula. You just need to, people who are struggling right now. There's a number of things you can do if you're you know, try to work as much as you can. You know, if there are plenty of jobs out there, and yeah, the jobs that are hiring aren't great jobs, a lot of them, but it gets some money in you, you know, and I highly recommend investing if you can. Like this is my Fidelity account. I have like 93 and change in that, 93,000 and change, and in my Eastern Bank account, sign me out. Yeah, my checking account, that's where my paychecks go to, and that's where I pay off my credit cards and all that stuff. I have it linked to all that. I have 11,000 and change, and I'm a strong proponent of always having at least 10,000 in savings, if you can. Always have that cushion, because you never know when you're going to lose your job, when some major medical thing's going to go wrong. You know, I hope it doesn't, but you know, on either of those scenarios. But it's good to have that. And you know, all the time I see people doing really foolish things that I would have done in the past too. So I'm not saying, you know, I'm not insinuating that I'm, you know, holier than thou by any stretch of the imagination. But I recommend that if you don't have at least 10 grand in your checking account just as a contingency, you know, don't buy a new car, don't buy a new phone. If you've got a functional vehicle, you know, if you've got a functional telephone, even if it's a flip phone or whatever, just something you can communicate with people, you know, I highly recommend, you know, cut the cable if you got expensive things, you know, cable. I mean, obviously you need internet, I get that, but you know, cable with HBO and Showtime and all that crap, get that gone. You know, if you have an expensive car loan, there are things you can do, and I'll get into that at a subsequent on a subsequent video. But you know, get your car sold, paid off. You know, if you're struggling and you have a $20,000 car loan or $40,000 now, they're so expensive now. I've heard of car loans, you know, that are $1,000 a month or more, and I just can't even imagine. But you know, there are a lot of really nice cars you can get for you know, a couple of grand still. And like I said, I'm going to go over that in depth at a later another video. In fact, maybe when I'm done with this one. But cell phones. There's now my cell phone right here. I have. It's about 5 years old. You know, it's an iPhone. What was the thing called? Like an SE or something. It's basically they take the guts of an iPhone 6 and they put it into an old time iPhone case. And as I recall, it was around a little over $200 when I bought it. And I have dropped this out of the truck probably no less than 100 times when I worked for Frito-Lay. And I'm going back there, but that's another story. And it's held up great. A little bit of scuffing on the corners, but it's held up really well. And it still works, you know, still works perfectly. The camera, it could be better, but it's, you know, it's, the eye is scuffed up a bit, but it still does take pictures. You know, if I, you know, still does take pictures when I need it to, and so yeah, I hear people paying, you know, $50 a month or whatever for a phone. That's ridiculous. I can't even imagine. You know, like I said, I'm not undermining your intelligence. I mean, I would have done the same thing some time ago. But if you want to live, make sure to live with it. You really want to live within your means. You know, I have the track phone plan, which costs around $130 to $150 a year. And it's fine, you know, because I'm not on my phone constantly. I don't need that, you know, and if you really want to save money, I would avoid that. You know, you really have to look at where you can cut. Housing. You can always take on a roommate, or if you're really desperate like I was, I'd say move back in with parents. You can always, you know, or if that's an option to you or family members or whatever. I still live with my parents, and I moved back in with them recently after the pandemic was over, and I pay them like $300 a month to cover some of the utilities and stuff, and works out really well. As obviously, if you're going to do that, especially as a grown, middle-aged man, you're going to want to make sure you obey the house rules and etc. Take care of some of the chores, whatever. But my parents are elderly, so I get to do all kinds of stuff I can do to be helpful. Take out the trash and shovel the driveway and all that stuff, and change light bulbs in high places. And anyway, I'm going to go into it in greater detail. Some more things you could do now. I highly recommend index funds. You'll get a decent percentage, higher than inflation, and they're not scary. It's like people are afraid to do that, and it's like it's not like it's crypto or something. It's perfectly safe, and compounded interest